Captain Jake Martinez walked across the bridge of the UES Dakota. The huge ship was moving through space like it did every day. Jake had been captain for 3 years now. He liked his job, but space was mostly empty and boring. The Dakota was one of Earth's best ships. It had strong engines, good weapons, and a crew of 200 people. They were far from home, checking the outer edges of human space. Most days were the same. Wake up, check reports, eat lunch, check more reports, go to sleep. Lieutenant Amy Foster sat at her station near the front of the bridge. She watched the screens that showed what was around their ship. Amy was good at her job. She could spot trouble from very far away. That morning she saw something strange. "Captain?" Amy called out. Her voice was excited. "I'm getting a signal. It's not from any human ship." Jake walked over to Amy's station. He looked at the screen. Lines of light moved up and down. Numbers flashed in the corner. "Are you sure it's not one of ours?" "Yes, sir. The signal is different. It's using frequencies we don't use, and it's coming from very far away." Ben Clark was the ship's communications officer. He was young but very smart with computers and signals. Jake called him over. "Ben, can you figure out what this signal says?" Ben sat down at Amy's station. His fingers moved fast over the controls. "It will take time, Captain. The signal is weak. It keeps breaking up. But I can tell someone is trying to talk." Jake felt his heart beat faster. In all of human history, they had never found aliens. There were theories and guesses, but no proof. If this signal was real, everything would change. "How long do you need?" Jake asked. "Give me 2 hours, sir, maybe 3. Jake nodded. "Do it, Amy. Keep watching that signal. Don't lose it." Jake walked to his chair in the center of the bridge. He pressed a button. "All senior officers to the bridge. Now." Within minutes, his top people arrived. Commander Lisa Hayes was his second in command. She was smart and careful. Dr. Kate Wilson ran the science department. She knew more about space than anyone on the ship. Colonel Rick Stone led the Marines. He was tough and had fought in 3 wars. "We might have first contact," Jake told them. "Ben is working on a signal from outside human space." Lisa looked worried. "Sir, if this is real, we need to call Earth Command. This is too big for us to handle alone." "We're 3 weeks from the nearest relay station," Jake said. "By the time we send a message and get orders back, it could be too late." Dr. Wilson stepped forward. "Captain, what if this is a trap? What if hostile aliens are trying to trick us?" Colonel Stone crossed his arms. "Or what if someone needs help? We can't just ignore a distress call." The bridge was quiet except for the sound of computers working. Ben was still trying to decode the signal. Amy watched her screens. Everyone else waited. 2 hours passed, then 3. Jake was getting worried when Ben suddenly stood up. "I got it," Ben shouted. "The signal is a message. It's been translated." "What does it say?" Jake asked. Ben looked at his screen. His face was pale. "Help us. They are coming. We sent coordinates. Please, anyone who gets this message." The bridge was completely quiet. Jake felt cold. Someone out there was in trouble, real trouble. Lisa checked her computer. "Sir, the coordinates are for a star system about 3 days away at maximum speed. It's not on any of our maps." "That proves it," Dr. Wilson said. "This is from aliens, real aliens." Jake looked at his officers. This was the biggest decision any human had ever made. Do they go help unknown aliens? Do they ignore the call? Do they wait for orders from Earth? "Sir," Amy said suddenly, "the signal is getting weaker. I think whoever sent it is running out of power." Jake closed his eyes. He thought about his training. He thought about his duty to Earth. But mostly, he thought about someone out there who was scared and asking for help. "Ben, send a message back. Tell them we got their call. Tell them we're coming." Ben's eyes went wide. "Sir? What should I say exactly?" "Tell them help is on the way. Send our ship name and that we're from Earth." Lisa stepped closer. "Captain, we could be starting a war, or flying into a trap. Or we could be saving lives," Jake said. Colonel Stone, get your Marines ready. Full combat gear, but also first aid supplies. Dr. Wilson, prepare your labs for possible alien contact. Lisa, plot a course to those coordinates. Yes, sir, they all said together. Jake sat in his captain's chair. He pressed the ship-wide communication button. This is the captain. We have received a distress call from an unknown source. We are changing course to provide assistance. This may be humanity's first contact with alien life. All departments prepare for emergency protocols. This is not a drill. The ship buzzed with activity. People ran through hallways. Officers shouted orders. The engine room worked to prepare the jump drives. The medical bay got ready for unknown patients. The weapons teams checked their guns. Jake watched space through the big window at the front of the bridge. Somewhere out there, aliens were waiting for help. In a few days, humans would meet them for the first time. He hoped they were making the right choice. Course plotted, sir, Lisa reported. Jump drives ready, called the engine room through the speakers. Jake took a deep breath. Jump. The stars outside the window stretched into lines of light. The UES, Dakota, disappeared from human space and headed toward the unknown. Behind them, Earth had no idea that everything was about to change. In 3 days, they would find out what happened when aliens called for help, and humans answered with the biggest guns they had. 3 days later, the Dakota came out of hyperspace. Jake Martinez stood on the bridge expecting to see a normal star system with planets and maybe some alien ships. What he saw instead made his stomach feel sick. The whole system looked like a war zone. Pieces of broken spaceships floated everywhere. Some pieces were as big as buildings. Others were tiny bits of metal. Jake had seen battlefields before, but nothing like this. My God, Dr. Wilson whispered. She was looking at her science screens. Captain, I'm reading the remains of thousands of ships. This wasn't a battle. This was a massacre. Amy Foster checked her long-range sensors. Sir, I'm seeing destroyed cities on 3 planets. The surfaces look bombed. But wait, I'm getting life signs from the 4th planet. They're underground. Jake felt his heart beating fast. Someone was still alive down there. How many life signs? Maybe a few thousand. They're deep underground in what looks like bunkers. Colonel Stone stepped forward. Captain, request permission to take a team down there. If there are survivors, they might need medical help. Jake nodded. Take Dr. Wilson and a medical team. Full protective gear. We don't know what we're walking into. Yes, sir. An hour later, 2 shuttles left the Dakota. Colonel Stone led 12 Marines in the first shuttle. Dr. Wilson and her medical team followed in the second. Jake watched from the bridge as they disappeared toward the 4th planet. The planet's surface was a mess. Cities were nothing but rubble. Forests were burned. The ocean looked dirty and full of debris. The shuttles found a safe place to land, near where the life signs were strongest. Colonel Stone's voice came through the radio. Dakota, we found an entrance to underground tunnels. The doors are sealed, but we can see movement inside through the windows. Can you communicate with them? Jake asked. Ben is working on it. The same signal frequencies from the distress call are coming from inside. Ben had come down with the team. He set up his communication equipment outside the sealed doors. After 20 minutes, he got a response. The doors slowly opened. What came out were not humans. They were about the same size as people, but their skin was blue. They had 4 arms instead of 2. Their eyes were bigger than human eyes and completely black. They moved slowly, like they were scared or hurt. The alien in front held up one of his 4 hands. He made sounds that Ben's computer translated into English. Please don't hurt us, we have nothing left to take. Colonel Stone put down his weapon. We're not here to hurt you, we got your distress call, we came to help. The alien looked confused. Distress call? You came because we asked for help? Yes. We're from Earth. We're humans. More aliens came out of the tunnels. They all looked thin and scared. Many had injuries. Some were carrying small alien children. Dr. Wilson immediately started helping the wounded ones. The first alien said his name was Elder Kess. Through Ben's translator, he told them a terrible story. 6 months ago they came. The Harkoth, big ships filled with warriors. They said we must serve them or die. We are peaceful people. We explore space to learn, not to fight. We said no. Elder Kess showed them recordings on a small device. The humans watched in horror. The Harkoth were giant bug-like creatures twice as tall as humans. They had 6 legs, sharp claws, and mean-looking faces. Their ships were huge and black. They destroyed our cities from space. Elder Kess continued. Millions of my people died in the first day. Those who survived hid underground. The Harkoth said they would give us 1 cycle of our sun to surrender completely. That time ends in 4 days. Colonel Stone looked angry. What happens in 4 days? They kill everyone, every last one of us. They said we are bugs to be stepped on. Dr. Wilson was treating an injured alien child. Elder Kess, how many of your people are left? Maybe 3,000. Once we were 40 million. Jake's voice came through the radio from the ship. Colonel, bring Elder Kess up to the Dakota. I want to hear this story myself. 2 hours later, Elder Kess stood on the bridge of the Dakota. He was nervous but amazed by the human ship. Jake offered him a chair. Elder Kess, tell me about these Harkoth. How many ships do they have? 12 big warships. Each one is 3 times bigger than your ship. Their weapons can destroy a city with 1 shot. Their shields stop all our weapons. Lisa checked her computer. Sir, our sensors show 12 large ships at the edge of this system. They're just sitting there waiting. Elder Kess nodded sadly. They wait for the deadline. Then they come to finish us. Jake felt angry. These aliens had done nothing wrong. They were peaceful people who just wanted to live. The Harkoth were bullies who killed for fun. Elder Kess, why did you send the distress call? Did you think someone would fight the Harkoth? The alien looked surprised. Fight them? No. We hoped. Someone might take our children away before the end. Save some of our people. We never thought anyone would come to fight. Jake looked at his officers. Lisa looked worried. Dr. Wilson looked sad. Colonel Stone looked ready for war. They were 1 ship against 12. The odds were terrible, but Jake made his decision. Elder Kess, we're not leaving you here to die. Jake Martinez sat in his captain's chair, staring at the stars through the bridge window. Elder Kess had gone back to his people underground. The bridge was quiet, except for the soft hum of computers. Everyone was thinking about the same thing. 12 enemy ships versus 1 human ship. It was impossible. Captain, Lisa Hayes said softly. We need to talk about this. The whole senior staff. Jake nodded. Conference room. Now. 5 minutes later, Jake's top officers sat around a metal table. The room felt heavy with worry. Outside the window, they could see the debris from destroyed alien ships floating in space like a graveyard. Lisa spoke first. Sir, I have to say this. Earth Command never gave us permission to interfere in alien wars. If we fight and lose, Earth might face revenge attacks. Dr. Wilson agreed. The Harkoth technology is centuries ahead of ours. Their shields stopped everything the aliens tried. Our weapons might not even scratch them. Colonel Stone hit the table with his fist. So we just leave? Let them murder 3,000 innocent people? That's not what humans do. It's not about what we want to do, Lisa argued. It's about what we can do. We're 1 ship. They have 12 warships, each one bigger than ours. Jake listened to his officers argue. They were all right in different ways. Fighting was almost certain death. Not fighting meant watching genocide happen. Ben Clark had been quiet, but now he spoke up. Captain, I've been studying the Harkoth communication signals. They're very organized, military style, but I think they're also arrogant. What do you mean? Jake asked. They don't encrypt their signals. They talk to each other like no one could, possibly threaten them. They think they're invincible. Dr. Wilson looked interested. That could be useful. What else did you learn? Their ships always stay in formation, perfect lines. They attack the same way every time. First they demand surrender, then they bomb from long range. They've never had to fight up close. Jake felt something stirring in his mind. An idea. A crazy, impossible idea. Pete. Jake called to Chief Engineer Pete Garcia through the intercom. Get up here. Pete arrived 5 minutes later, his uniform dirty from working in the engine room. Yes, Captain? Pete, theoretical question. What would happen if we rammed one of those big ships at full speed? Pete's eyes went wide. Sir, that would destroy both ships. Everyone would die. But would it work? Would ramming break through their shields? Pete thought for a moment. Well, yes. Shields are designed to stop energy weapons and small objects. A whole ship hitting at ramming speed, and that's just physics. Mass times velocity, no shield could stop that much force. Colonel Stone leaned forward. Captain, what are you thinking? Jake stood up and walked to the window. The enemy ships were too far away to see, but he knew they were out there, waiting, planning to kill every survivor on the planet below. They've never fought humans before, Jake said slowly. They don't know how we think, how we fight when we're angry. Sir? Lisa asked. Jake turned back to his officers. They expect us to fight like the aliens did, stay far away and shoot energy. Weapons. But what if we don't? What if we do something completely insane? Dr. Wilson looked worried. Like what? Like ramming straight through their formation, getting so close they can't use their big weapons, making them fight hand to hand. The room was quiet. Everyone stared at Jake like he had lost his mind. Colonel Stone was the first to smile. Captain, that's the craziest plan I've ever heard. It just might work. It's suicide, Lisa said. Maybe, Jake agreed. Or maybe it's the only way to save those people. He walked back to the table. Here's what I'm thinking. We go in fast and low. Ram the first ship we can reach. While they're confused, we launch every boarding pod we have. Marines fight their way through the enemy ships from the inside. Pete looked excited. I could modify our weapons for close combat. Kinetic rounds instead of energy beams, explosives. The kind of weapons that work in hallways and small rooms. Colonel Stone nodded. Marines are trained for boarding actions. We know how to fight inside enemy ships. If we can get aboard, we can cause serious damage. Dr. Wilson was checking her tablet. The alien recordings show Harkoth are big, but they might be slow, and they've never fought in zero gravity like our Marines have. Jake looked around the table. This is volunteer only. Anyone who wants to stay on the ship and return to Earth can do so. No shame in that. Lisa shook her head. Sir, if you're going to do something this stupid, you'll need your first officer to help. One by one, each officer agreed to stay and fight. Even Dr. Wilson, who hated violence, said she would help treat wounded Marines. All right, Jake said. We have 2 days to prepare. Pete, I want every weapon we have modified for close combat. Colonel Stone, train your Marines for fighting giant bugs in narrow spaces. Ben, keep monitoring enemy communications. Lisa, work out attack patterns. Over the next 2 days, the Dakota changed from an exploration ship into a weapon of war. Pete and his engineers welded armor plates to the hull. They loaded the boarding pods with explosives and medical supplies. They turned peaceful research equipment into weapons. The Marines practiced fighting in the ship's narrow corridors. They learned how to move in zero gravity while carrying heavy weapons. Colonel Stone made them drill the same attacks over and over until they could do them with their eyes closed. Jake didn't sleep much. He spent his time studying the enemy ships through long-range sensors. 12 massive warships in perfect formation. Each one carried hundreds of Harkoth warriors. The odds were still impossible. On the morning of the 3rd day, Elder Kess contacted them from the planet. Human friends, his translated voice said through the speakers. The Harkoth ships are moving. They will be here in 6 hours. My people are praying to our gods, but we know this is the end. Jake pressed the communication button. Elder Kess, get your people as deep underground as possible. Stay there no matter what happens. We're going to try something. Try what? Jake looked at his bridge crew. They were all ready to die. We're going to show the Harkoth what happens when you threaten someone under human protection. The enemy fleet was coming. In 6 hours, the most one-sided battle in galactic history would begin. But the Harkoth had made one mistake. They had never fought humans before, and humans, when protecting others, were capable of incredible things. The 12 Harkoth warships moved through space like Black Death. Each ship was 3 times bigger than the Dakota. Their hulls were covered in spikes and armor. Weapon ports glowed with deadly energy. They flew in perfect formation, just like they always did. On the bridge of the Dakota, Jake Martinez watched the enemy fleet approach. His hands were steady, but his heart was beating fast. This was it. In 1 hour, they would either save 3,000 innocent lives or die trying. All stations report ready, Captain, Lisa Hayes said. Her voice was calm, but Jake could see the fear in her eyes. Marines are in position, Colonel Stone reported through the intercom. Boarding pods loaded and ready. Pete Garcia's voice came from the engine room. Engines at maximum power, hull reinforcement complete. Sir, we're as ready as we'll ever be. Jake pressed the ship-wide communication button. This is the captain. In 30 minutes we will engage 12 enemy warships. The odds are against us. Some of us might not survive. But remember why we're here. 3,000 innocent people are counting on us. Today we show the galaxy what humans are made of. On the planet below, Elder Kess and his people huddled in their underground shelters. They could feel the ground shaking as the Harkoth ships entered the atmosphere. Children cried. Adults held each other. Everyone thought they were about to die. Look, Amy Foster shouted from her station. The enemy ships are spreading out. They're getting ready to bomb the planet. Jake stood up. Not today. All hands, battle stations. Amy, take us straight at their flagship. The Dakota shot forward like a bullet. The engines roared at full power. Jake had never pushed his ship this hard before. The Harkoth commander, Admiral Vex, sat in his command chair watching the small human ship approach. He laughed, which sounded like grinding metal. One tiny ship against our entire fleet? These humans are either very brave or very stupid. Should we destroy them now? Asked his second-in-command. No. Let them get closer. I want to see the fear in their eyes before we kill them. That was Admiral Vex's first mistake. The Dakota flew straight toward the enemy formation. The Harkoth ships were lined up perfectly, just like Ben had predicted. They expected the human ship to stop and fire from long range. Instead, Jake did something no enemy had ever done before. Ramming speed, Jake shouted. The Dakota smashed into the side of the Harkoth flagship like a hammer hitting glass. The enemy. Shields flickered and died. Metal tore apart. Explosions lit up space. Both ships spun out of control. But Jake wasn't done. Launch all boarding pods. Now. 20 small pods shot out of the Dakota like bullets. Each pod carried 6 Marines in full armor. The pods punched through the hulls of different Harkoth ships and buried themselves inside. Colonel Stone led the first boarding team. The pods smashed through the enemy hull and crashed into a hallway full of surprised Harkoth warriors. The aliens were huge, twice as tall as humans with 6 legs and sharp claws. But they had never fought in the close spaces of their own ships. Light them up, Colonel Stone yelled. The Marines opened fire with kinetic weapons. Bullets ripped through the Harkoth like they were made of paper. The aliens were strong, but their armor was designed for energy weapons, not solid metal rounds. Sergeant Roy Adams led another team through the engine room of a different ship. The Harkoth engineers had never seen combat before. They ran in panic, as human Marines tore their equipment apart with explosives. Pete, we need more power to weapons, Jake shouted. Working on it, Pete's voice came back. Half the Dakota's systems were damaged from the ramming attack, but the ship was still fighting. The Harkoth fleet was in chaos. They had never faced an enemy that attacked like this. Their formation was broken. Some of their ships couldn't fire, without hitting their own vessels. Admiral Vex screamed orders at his crew. Destroy that human ship! Kill them all! But it was too late. The Dakota was inside their formation now, too close for the big weapons to target. Jake's ship fired kinetic, rounds at point-blank range into enemy hulls. Metal projectiles punched through armor that could stop energy beams. Inside the Harkoth ships, the Marines were winning battles that should have been impossible. The aliens were bigger and stronger, but humans were faster and smarter. The Marines used the narrow hallways to their advantage. They threw grenades around corners. They cut power cables and caused explosions. Dr. Wilson discovered something important while treating wounded Marines. Captain, The Harkoth can't handle our weapons. Their biology isn't designed for kinetic damage. Our bullets are devastating. To them. Jake smiled for the first time in days. You hear that, people? We're winning. The battle turned into a nightmare for the Harkoth. 3 of their ships were dead in space, their engines destroyed by Marine boarding teams. 2 more ships were trying to escape, but the Dakota chased them down and pounded them with close-range weapons. Admiral Vex watched his perfect fleet fall apart. These humans fought like nothing he had ever seen. They were insane. They rammed ships with their own bodies. They boarded enemy vessels and fought hand-to-hand. They showed no fear. Admiral, his communications officer said with a shaking voice, the humans are demanding our surrender. Jake's voice came through the Harkoth communication system. It was translated into their language, but the anger was clear. This is Captain Martinez of the human vessel Dakota. You came here to murder innocent people. We came here to stop you. Surrender now, or we will show you what real monsters look like. Admiral Vex had never surrendered in his life, but he had also never lost a battle like this. Half his fleet was destroyed or disabled. The rest of his ships were scattered and damaged. His warriors were dead or running in fear from human Marines. We surrender, Admiral Vex said quietly. What? His officer asked. I said we surrender, Admiral Vex shouted. Signal the fleet. All ships retreat. Now. The remaining Harkoth ships limped away from the battle. They left behind wrecked vessels and hundreds of dead warriors. The mighty Harkoth Empire had been defeated by 1 human ship and 200 crew members. Jake collapsed in his captain's chair. His ship was damaged but still flying. Half his Marines were wounded, but they were alive. They had done the impossible. Captain, Elder Kess's voice came through the speakers. The enemy ships are leaving. Are we safe? Jake smiled. Yes, Elder Kess. You're safe. The Harkoth won't be coming back. On the planet below, 3,000 alien survivors came out of their shelters for the first time in months. They looked up at the stars and saw human ships protecting them instead of enemy vessels planning their destruction. The galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had announced its arrival with guns blazing and hearts full of justice. The strong would no longer prey on the weak without consequences. And somewhere in space, Admiral Vex was sending a message to his empire. Beware the humans. They are not like other species. They fight for others, not just themselves. And when they fight, they do not know how to lose.